I finally reached my room and let my body fall onto the bed. I let out a sigh of utter pleasure as I felt the cloud-like bed cradle my body on its surface. I was beyond happy. I had been kidnapped and taken to the demon world by the demon lord, trapped here unless he or I died. Then Sam and I had been haunted by a powerful being that had been hell-bent on testing us. This entire week had become a wild roller coaster ride of excitement that I would have never expected. Still, there was joy to be found in adventure, and my curiosity thanked destiny for letting me experience it. Now all I wanted to do was to get home and marry the man I loved. As Sam finally entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him.
Hey, you ready to go home?
More than ready. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We let the situation we had just gone through sink in, relieved that we were going to be happy from now on together. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to grow fearful. Was I ready to go into battle with barely any training except with a sword? Was Sam, or any of us for that matter, we were about to walk into the final clash of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to remain with Sam and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. So we had fun together. I needed to hold him and treat the night like it was our last. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. A wave of carnal need rushed through me, needing to indulge all I could tonight. It was stupid to believe that tomorrow could have been our last day alive, but reality scared me. I was scared, and I needed to release that fear in Sam's arms. We needed to rock as if the world was ending because we didn't know if it would. I gripped onto Sam's jacket and pulled him close to me, slamming my lips into his and feeling him gasp against our kiss. He stared wide-eyed at me for a moment before gripping to my waist hard and returning my kiss. He was feeling the same. I could feel the tremors of his own concern rumble beneath his fingertips as they gently dragged themselves along my waist and buried themselves under my clothes. I pulled away slightly, panting as I burned my gaze into his eyes. Oh, Maris. His eyes flashed a gold color at the sound of his true name. I would use it and call it over and over to make him drive me to the blissful night we desperately needed. His grip on me tightened as I leaned in nose to nose, repeating it in a husky tone. Oh, Maris. A carnal yes, whatever that is, snarl, escaped Sam's lips before he roughly cupped a hand behind my head and pulled me into a hard kiss, growling lustfully against my lips as I groaned at the feeling. The gates of our control flung open and we let it all in. It almost became too easy, tearing Sam's clothes off of his body. It was definitely easy for him to strip every last article off of my body and take in the sensation of our skin-to-skin contact. The heat dancing over our skins became almost unbearable as he marched me to bed and pinned me down, biting over my lip before planting nips over my neck and shoulder. It's so weird not to have the, seduction music playing while this is going on. I would bear the love bites and hickeys he was painting over my skin with pride. All I cared about was feeling him within my arms and screaming his name as we finally passed the point of no return. Past the point of no return. His demon name spurred him on, skyrocketing the passion between us as I let it fall from my name between my euphoric cries of pleasure. His fingers clawed over my back as my own gripped his shoulders hard, returning the favor. My name fell from his own lips between his hard and loving kisses over my neck and shoulder. As he finally claimed my lips to silence us both, I thought I heard weird noises there for a second. We became unhinged and soared through multiple peaks of ecstasy. I could barely remember how many we rushed through, but our emotions were running high and the beautiful afterglow that awaited us gave us a soft descent into a blissful haze in each other's arms. We both were hurting, aching from the amount of energy we released in our lovemaking, but thankful in the end that we did. We didn't even need to speak as we held each other close and let the night consume us. My heart was filled with Sam, and I became slowly protective of my love for him. If tomorrow was going to be a test against death, then it was a test I would succeed in. I would not let the Demon Lord or anyone take Sam away from me again. I love you, Elmaris. Tomorrow would decide everything. You only used Sam's real name? You didn't do it with the other boys? Come on, girl. What about my Uberus? The day of the siege had finally dawned. We had arrived at the Demon Lord's castle, and we have seen this before, so we skipped.
If anything trickles into the side route, you'll be able to handle it. However, there is something I must ask of you.
What is it?
If you are indeed attacked, you need to defend your fiancé the entire way there. Do not let him use his energy.
Like hell she will.
When you get to the castle, I will be fighting one-on-one with the Demon Lord. If something should happen to me, then I need you to take over. She is not ready to fight him, and you need to be at full strength to finish him off.
I stared, listening and reaffirming the order. I couldn't lie, I was nervous. However, I was determined enough to see this through. I looked over at my fiancé with a confident smile. I got this. Don't worry. Despite the worried look in his eyes, he nodded and held my hand, trusting me in my decision to agree with Diana's command. Alright, we'll skip again. Oh. The pure determination and anger in her voice practically sent a shiver down my spine. She was set on seeing this through to the end, and I was sure that she was willing to even die if it meant taking the Demon Lord with her. Shadow, however, cleared his throat.
Might I suggest a simple solution to deal with the Demon Lord?
Well, this is new.
What is it?
Shadow turned and pointed to the map, his finger pressing against a tower structure in the Demon Lord's castle.
If my scouts are correct, then that tower directly hovers over the decaying sea.
The what? Shadow turned to me with an unamused grimace, while Rabbit stepped towards me, hugging her staff to her body.
The decaying sea. A cursed stretch of water that has plagued this side of the demon world for thousands of years. Many demons have fallen into that water and were never seen again. It's no ordinary sea. It's an eternal death wish.
It's also the reason why Damien was so scared of swimming. Just from the look in Rabbit's eyes, I could see that this sea was bad news. Shadow nodded at Rabbit's description, adding more to the fright of the waters the castle was pressed against.
Any creature unfortunate enough to fall into that cursed stretch of water will be doomed to sink into an endless black void. They can never die due to the dark magic in the water, but they can never come back up. There is no saving them.
Well, that's horrific. I became fearful just thinking about going near it. However, Diana crossed her arms and stared blankly at Shadow.
So you wish for me to drag him up to the tower and toss him over?
Precisely. It would make killing him much easier, wouldn't you think?
Diana pressed her lips together, not agreeing or disagreeing with the suggestion given to her. However, the conversation quickly turned back to the matter at hand. I don't know, I got a weird feeling like this is part of the rebel leader's plans to get rid of Diana for some reason. Right, the remaining Incubi and the Wise were asked to stay behind the army and guard the main base where Rabbit and Faye were stationed. They needed as many eyes as possible in the back of the battle, so the four couples were perfect to keep things in check. As they agreed, the meeting ended and the mental preparation had begun. The idea of the upcoming battle scared me, sending waves of fear and worry up and down my body in response to the thought.
Meh. Big crowd for a dickhead old man, huh?
Huh? I looked at the map on the war table, seeing multiple markers clutter in an open field in front of the Demon Lord's castle. According to Sargent, there were hundreds of thousands of soldiers prepared to march, all ready to shed blood. I, however, looked to Sam with worry. I was frightened, yet determined, worried, yet pushing myself to be brave and step forward. Sensing this, Sam wrapped his hand around mine and gave it a squeeze.
Hey, whatever happens, we'll do it together, all right?
I listened to him speak before nodding, taking in a deep breath. Everything would be okay. We would be fine. I had to believe in myself and get us to the castle when the time was right. Alright, let's skip ahead. Oh yeah, so what is she saying? What is she saying?
She's saying that everyone's here for the same thing and we're gonna paint the walls with blood.
I love the different brothers' interpretation of what she's saying. Really?
Well, not literally, but that should kick everyone's ass in gear.
Okay.
Everything is in order. Sergeant Diana's guard are at the front lines, while Shadow is with his legion to the west.
You got a straight line to that bastard.
We've done what we can to keep your way clear. We'll try to make sure the battle won't break through the path.
I nodded, feeling the need to rush nip at my heels, pushing me forward. My fiancé seemed to agree, gripping my hand and walking at my pace alongside me. However, as we finally arrived at the forest line, Faye and Rabbit stopped, looking back at us.
Straight through here. The sound of the war will always be on your right, so do not get lost.
You'll be fine, though. Just follow the tree line.
In sync, my fiancé and I nodded in acknowledgement before turning to see the other brothers and their wives. So, this is it.
Remember your surroundings and protect each other.
Be careful, alright? Make sure you stay safe.
Princess, brother, we'll see you in the end.
Eric!
We have faith in you. You'll make it there, and we'll return to the human world soon.
We'll finish this and rush in as soon as we can, alright?
Make sure you kick some serious ass. Show that old goat what he gets for messing with you.
We'll win this. We know we can.
You can do this. We'll see you soon, okay?
I smiled despite the nerves running through my body. I held onto my fiancé's hand and gave it a hard squeeze before receiving one back in kind. We'll finish this, then we'll go home. The group nodded before I slowly turned and looked into the tree line, took a breath and rushed forward. Matching my speed, my love followed, weaving through the trees behind me to not lose sight of me. Alright, let's see how we do this time. The journey became simple with us running through the trees. The sound of the war echoed beside us outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears a bit from the volume, but I shook my head and pressed forward, not wanting to become distracted. The goal was to get to the castle. I had to focus. We made our way through the thick of the forest, dodging each tree and root we came across. I could tell that something was ahead, causing me to grit my teeth and attempted to weave through whatever was there. As I expected, we were rushing near a group of imps who were about to jump into the war fray from the side as a surprise attack, making me smirk. They were distracted enough to not notice us. I quickly took my sword from my scabbard and swung hard at the group of demons ahead of me, cleaving through the back of their necks. They couldn't even let out a scream as their voices became bubbly with blood. As they fell, I continued forward, gripping my sword and preparing in case we ran across another group. My incubus kept up the pace, understanding what I had done, but a little surprised at my skill. We continued to run forward, heading straight into another group of imps, and rushed past them, dropping my sword and slashing through the back of their legs, letting them fall forward, synchronized in pain. Shout out to that imp scream. The imps fell as the others ahead of them turned and became shell-shocked at the sight. Must have been a big surprise to see a human cut down a group all at once, but I wasn't so friendly and merciful, especially in this war, as I lunged forward again and swung my sword into the air. I became precise with my attacks, cutting down as many as I could and as little attacks as I made. There were a couple of close calls, but training with Mirth had kept me on my toes, ready for anything. My incubus, despite probably being surprised at my carnage, followed as I continued forward, fighting through every imp that came in our way. I had lost count of how many crossed me, but I didn't care. All I cared about was getting to the castle. Man, talk about silence, Sam. Had nothing to say. By the time we reached the end of the forest, there was a slew of dead bodies behind me. I stood at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of adrenaline and lack of energy run through my veins. I panted for air, slowly focusing on calming down as my energy quickly depleted from its adrenaline-filled high. I had to drop my sword, unable to hold it any longer. That was all I could do before my energy was expended and a wave of exhaustion rolled through my body. I began to fall forward, exhausted. My fiancé, however, quickly rushed forward and caught me in his arms.
Oh shit! Are you okay?
Huh? I looked up to see Sam staring at me with a deeply concerned gaze. We were safe for the moment, so I merely smiled up at him with a nod. I'm fine. I promise to protect you like you protect me. Sam pressed his lips together and shook his head, glaring down at me before wrapping his arms fully around me and hugging me to him.
You fucking doofus.
I hugged him back, feeling relief that we had finally arrived at the castle and were about to rush inside. As we slowly pulled away, Sam lifted me up and helped me to my feet.
You gonna be okay?
I nodded, shaking off the exhaustion from my mind. I was ready to end this. I looked up at the castle gates and felt a rush of determination run through me. Let's go finish this. With that, Sam and I raced forward. The final battle had begun. At the gates, however, stood a figure that seemed to pose almost pridefully in our path. Sam and I stopped our run and took in who was standing in our way. For some reason, he seemed familiar. Well, this is also new. Who?
Finally, you showed up.
What? Malix? No. What? You were torn to shreds. Oh, what? That voice! My mind finally clicked, linking the voice to a memory I wish I had forgotten. However, it couldn't have been. No way! Oh dear. Well, somebody got sewn back together. I'm maybe a little too excited to have Malix back. I loved Malix in the first game. But how? Sam began to growl almost animalistically as the figure stepped out of the shadow of the gate. His face was covered by a terrifying devil mask, but I recognized him despite the fact. His white hair, his red skin. There was no way it could have been.
Missed me, bitch?
Malix!
You don't need the mask. The scars aren't so bad. At the sound of his name, Malix reached up and removed the mask from his face, revealing a large amount of scars and wounds that were hidden away. Despite this, there was also a smirk plastered from ear to ear across Malix's cheeks.
You're supposed to be dead!
You didn't think I actually died, did you? Only pussy little boys like you can get taken out like that.
My heart froze at the fact that he was still alive. It couldn't have been. I had seen what had happened to him. He was supposed to be dead. Malix inhaled a deep breath and stretched out his arms, looking around with the largest grin on his face before turning to Sam.
Isn't this the most brutal war you've ever seen? Legions killing each other for no goddamn reason other than to rule this pathetic plane. It makes me want to make popcorn and watch the bloodshed.
Sam glared hard at Malix, taking a step towards him. Malix, however, cackled in response and locked eyes with the incubus.
Of course! I came here for a reason. I can't just sit on my ass and watch. Too bad, though. This is some great entertainment.
Why are you here?
Then why are you here, asswipe? Got a real death wish this time?
What makes you think you can kill me? Besides, aren't you trying to save energy to fight your old man?
How do you know about our plan? Malix stuffed his hands into his pockets and leaned back, puffing his chest out and flaunting the burnt insignia on his chest.
I got sent here by the head of hell himself, straight from the top. And I got the best seats in the house to the bloodiest war this plane has ever seen.
Wouldn't that be straight from the bottom? Sam chuckled, cracking his knuckles.
Funny. I thought Satan only gave a shit about devils who didn't get their faces beaten in. Seems like he's getting soft.
Instantly, Malix's face shifted to an angry scowl, making the smirk on Sam's face widen.
Now that you're all hot and bothered, wanna tell me what you're up to before I send you back with your head up your ass?
Well, first I'm gonna paint these gates with your blood. Then wait until this war is over before I annihilate every fucking demon left and make this world a part of hell, just like it was supposed to be.
You're funny for a dead man.
Am I? You tried to kill me once before, dipshit, and look where that got you. Didn't work out so well, did it?
Malix stretched his neck to the side, making a loud, echoey crack sound reverberate through the air. Ooh, I do that a lot. It's not a good sound. I winced at the sound.
What makes this so funny is that it won't matter who wins this war in the end. Once it's over, I'll send them for my boys and we'll fuck everyone up while they're celebrating. Ha! It'll be the bloodiest celebration this plane has ever seen! Then, we'll seal this world and fuse it with hell, giving Satan a whole world full of demon soldiers and slaves at his disposal. The chaos of this world practically begged for a war to tear it apart. Now the Abyssal Plains will truly be a part of hell, like the fuckfaces of heaven intended.
Not if I made sure you don't get the chance, fucker.
Malix cackled wildly, staring at Sam with a maddened expression. His eyes burned with insane bloodlust as he smirked and licked his teeth.
It's this world's destiny, shithead! Even humans know that demons belong in hell.
No, they don't! I felt myself become angrier at Malix. Demons and devils were completely different, and demons, except for the Demon Lord, did not belong anywhere near hell.
Think about it, will ya? How many brainless humans think that demons come from hell? They put demons and devils together like they're no different from each other. It's inevitable! Every shit stain on this world is gonna bow down to the Lord of Hell, and we'll rip apart the gates of heaven together.
Sam stepped forward once more, cracking his knuckles at his sides.
I am so sick of hearing your voice, Malix. Let's just end this.
Oh, I almost forgot the best part.
Malix locked eyes with me, suddenly making a violent tremor run down my spine. His gaze spoke nothing but sadistic intent, and his words made his stare much more terrifying.
Just because I can, after we're done taking over this world, I'm gonna take that human bitch and make her the fuck toy of Satan's army.
Why you gotta be that way, Malix? Instantly, Sam vanished and reappeared in front of Malix, swinging a punch at him. However, he only made contact with a vanishing afterimage. Before I could blink, Malix had disappeared and reappeared behind Sam, punching Sam's head and sending him flying toward the castle wall. Sam!
Payback time, fuckface!
Malix flew at Sam's body like a bullet and began to slam his fists into him, the wall cracking and caving in around Sam's body. I don't think I should help. I think I'm gonna get in the way and get my hair grabbed again. A part of me knew better than to try. Malix probably had a weapon, and if I knew anything about Malix, he would use that against me without hesitation. I was out of energy to even defend myself from him, and I was sure that's what my grandfather's protection spell ran on. He wanted to beat Sam before trying to kill him. His pride was one downfall of his that I remembered very clearly. Malix continued to pound punch upon punch onto Sam's body, making the body-shaped indentation in the castle wall that much deeper. However, with a small flash of red light, heat suddenly began to erupt from the center. Time to access that dragon power, man.
Get off!
Malix was suddenly forced back from a bright energy pulse as Sam pushed himself out of the hole he was trapped in. Around his body were green flickering waves of energy, pulsating in time with Sam's breath. I stared in shock, watching smoke rise from the creases of Sam's mouth and his nostrils as he formed a large sword in his hands. Something in his eyes was burning and he fueled it with rage.
Ooh! Got some fire this time, huh?
Malix raised the arm at his side, forming a large sword with a red blade and a chain connecting from the hilt to his belt.
Well, so do I!
Malix and Sam rushed at each other, slamming their swords into each other with reckless speed. I couldn't understand how Malix gained the ability to be as fast as Sam, but something about the devil was very different from the first and last time I had seen him. Yeah, I mean, he did come back from the dead, so something probably happened with that as well. He was much more cocky, and there was some sort of strength within him that frightened me more than before. However, I felt that Sam still had the upper hand. There was no way he would let Malix win. Sam flipped over Malix and slashed his back, opening the fabric of his vest, but not deep enough to make contact with skin. Malix snarled and spun around, reinitiating their clash of swords.
What's wrong, pretty boy? You seem to be holding back!
I don't need to waste energy killing you!
At last, their swords slammed against one another, a screech echoing through the air. Both pushed against one another, snarling into each other's faces.
It's pointless, Incubus! This world is fucked!
Tell that to Satan when you die!
Sam suddenly lifted his foot up and jammed it into Malix's chest, kicking him back towards the castle wall. With a grunt and the crack of broken ribs reverberating through the air, Malix slid back and glared at Sam. However, the glare quickly died into a look of sadistic amusement as Malix rolled his shoulders and stood back up, as if he could just shrug off the injury. I Around his body grew a bright orange and red flame, causing waves of heat to pulse through the air around us.
You want a final showdown? You got it!
Sam, with a smirk of his own, stood tall with a fast-growing green and red aura surrounding his form. The faint outline of dragons danced within the tongues of the flames as Sam seemed to charge a powerful attack.
It's over, Malix.
I watched as they both charged up their final attacks and forced their palms out towards each other. Green and red orbs of light shot out from each of their hands and collided, followed by brilliant rays that pushed them forward and into each other. I had to shut my eyes, blocking the flash of light from blinding my vision, before looking back up and seeing the bout with a gasp. The air around the orbs pulsed heavily, whipping in all directions and fueled by both the demon and the devil. The orbs ground into one another, lightning and fire bursting from the minuscule space between them. Both opponents had their eyes locked on each other as the earth around them bent and bowed away from the collision of their power. The green orb seemed to quake with the shadows of dragons in its center, pressing against the wall of the orb and forcing it forward against its obstacle. Still, they were somehow equally matched. How could this be?
Give him your remaining energy, child. It is the only way to end this.
Oh, good thing I didn't exhaust that earlier. The voice of the dragon rang in my head as I stared at Sam. His face was tightened in pure anger and determination. He was giving as much as he could, but I knew he was holding back to save energy for his father. I took a breath and quickly rushed over to Sam, grabbing hold of his arm and feeling his body naturally pull energy from me. Gah!
What are you doing?
Ending this together! Sam stared at me, causing his orb to falter, but as I passed my energy onto him, Sam nodded and focused back on Malix, concentrating his orb forward with both his energy and mine. Malix would not win. I wouldn't let him. At last, the deadlock became pressed as Sam's orb pushed Malix's back, inch by inch, with each push getting stronger and faster. I could feel myself grow dizzy, but I didn't care. This was Malix's last stand.
What? No!
Sorry, Malix. I glared hard at Malix as the clash between them became full of green energy, cutting through the devil's attack with ease. At last, the dragons reached their prey as the orb finally clashed into Malix's body, enveloping him in light.
No!
Sam and I held on to each other, letting go of the energy ray, and covered our eyes with Sam covering me with his arm. We dug our heels into the earth, struggling to stay in place as energy pushed us away from Malix. The gusts pressed and rushed against our bodies until, at last, the wind stopped. Sam and I slowly lifted our heads and looked over, wanting to see what had become of Malix. There was no trace of him. The spot where he stood was charred, and the smoke that rose from the ashes of the area danced in the air like rising dragons. We did it! We killed him at last. Right? I crumpled to my knees, slamming my hands to the ground to keep myself upright as I panted. I was worn out. If I hadn't been out of energy before, I definitely was now. Sam quickly dropped down beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders and laying a careful hand on my arm.
Whoa! Are you okay?
I nodded, obviously lying, but I knew that we had more important things to worry about. Malix was gone, hopefully dead for real, and we were at the castle gates, ready to charge in and fight the Demon Lord. As Sam and I looked up, we both locked our sights on a window exploding outward with a figure flying out of it. As the figure flapped their wings and steadied themselves, they swooped back inside. Diana! I gripped Sam's arm and lifted myself up, knowing that we had to get inside.
You good?
Yeah, let's just go. Sam nodded before taking my hand and rushing forward, speeding through the twists and turns of the castle towards a large archway leading up into the tower, where we could hear Diana and the Demon Lord fighting above. Sam and I raced up the stairs of the tower, hearing the echoed cries and clashes of steel bouncing off of the stone walls. My heart began to race as the sound of weapons meeting stopped with Diana screaming.
Enough!
Oh, this is a new room. Sam and I finally reached the top, staring wide-eyed at the sight of the Demon Lord and Diana. The Demon Lord had Diana's throat in a hard grip as his other hand gripped onto her wings, his fingers digging into them roughly. We could barely react as the Demon Lord ripped them off of Diana's back by pulling Diana's body in the opposite direction. That's a terrible pain. The Demon Lord, basking in his success, lifted the torn wings to his mouth and let the blood dribble from the open wounds onto his tongue. I fought to not gag at the sight. Sam, however, shouted and made the room shake with his voice. His rage showed his feelings clearly, despite seeing the one who fathered him after years of separation.
Hey, shithead!
The Demon Lord instantly peered over, locking his eyes onto Sam's form as Sam began to step forward. Appeased with the new challenger, the Demon Lord licked his lips and tossed Diana to the side. Diana landed with a hard thud and slid across the floor, slamming against one of the stone frames that kept the stained glass of the room together. On her back were 2 large open wounds that weren't healing or fading away into her body like I expected. Diana!
Go check on her. This bastard is mine.
Sam continued to walk forward as I nodded and rushed over to Diana. She struggled to push herself up onto her hands, falling back onto the floor in failure as I approached. I gotcha. Hold on.
Settle.
Aw. Before my eyes, a small white light flashed beside us, revealing Sero. He quickly looked around before he looked down at Diana and rushed to his knees beside her. Don't you die, Sero.
Isaiah!
I got onto my knees and helped Diana get up onto hers, seeing her worn and tired face. As she got up, she instantly fell to the side into Sero's arms. Sero quickly wrapped his arms around Diana and kissed her head, most likely trying to feed her energy to heal. Her back wounds, despite the energy, were still not closing. All across her body were slash marks and bruises from the intense struggle, but I knew already that she had put up a good fight. Now it was Sam's turn. The Demon Lord raised his arms to his sides, visually challenging his new opponent with a wide smirk on his face and a scowl in his eyes.
So you want to die too? I always knew you were a disgrace.
I've waited a long time to kick your ass.
Ooh. That's a pretty epic-looking CG. Sam glared hard at the Demon Lord before reaching up and summoning his sword. As he did, flames began to quickly engulf his body, twisting and shaping into multiple dragons that brought surprise and fear into the Demon Lord's eyes.
You will burn and fall into the darkest depths of the abyss where you belong.
The Demon Lord, however, snarled and summoned his own blade, ready to battle. There was no more room to place threats. Their blades would speak for them now. Sam and the Demon Lord rushed at each other, arching their blades at each other and slamming their swords together. As they clashed, red lightning and wildfire shot out from the impact between them. This did not deter Sam and the Demon Lord from slashing and swinging again at each other, parrying over and over with murderous vigor. It was like watching fireworks go off in a massive storm. The flames around Sam began to circle around him and the Demon Lord, forming an inescapable ring around them. This was going to be a battle to the death, by flame or by sword. Neither opponent seemed to hold anything back.
How? How did you get this power?
Doesn't matter how! All you need to know is that I'm gonna use it to kill you!
The Demon Lord grabbed hold of Sam's sword and kicked Sam's hand to make him release it. However, as the sword left Sam's hand, it vanished and reappeared in Sam's grip as if it belonged there. Using the opportunity, Sam slashed at the Demon Lord and carved a deep line into the Demon Lord's chest. Hurrah! The Demon Lord stepped back, gripping his chest as, before my eyes, the skin around the wound began to burn and release black smoke. The Demon Lord snarled in reply, swinging his sword again at Sam.
You're dead!
The Demon Lord pummeled a barrage of slashes and swipes at Sam with his sword, only to be blocked and parried each time. I felt a hopeful smile grow on my face. We were going to win. The strange excitement of the situation filled my body with joy. I was going to go home and be with my family and friends and live in the human world. Sam and I were going to live happily ever after, and this was the door to get us there. We're gonna go home. Sam and the Demon Lord jumped away from each other, glaring hard at one another as they began to circle each other.
Weak brat. Needing the power of a dragon to defeat me?
You don't fucking get it, do you? I don't just have the power of a dragon.
My eyes couldn't believe what I was seeing. A pair of wings wreathed in flame suddenly erupted from Sam's back, lifting him into the air. Sam's voice boomed through the air, filled with magic, rage, and power. Fus Roda!
I am a dragon!
Same thing. Same. Sam raised his sword, causing it to become engulfed by red and green flame before swinging it down onto the Demon Lord. As it clashed with the Demon Lord's sword, a burst of flame erupted from between the blades. The cat meows are just killing me. Each block the Demon Lord had caused another and another burst to explode in his sight. Sparks and flame licked violently against his skin as he tried to defend himself from the dragon that was Sam. Soon enough, even the Demon Lord couldn't defend anymore. Sam knocked the Demon Lord's sword away, causing it to slide against the floor outside of the Ring of Fire.
Now! It's over!
Sam swooped at the Demon Lord and jammed his blade into the Demon Lord's chest, making his resounding gasp of pain echo through the flames. The Demon Lord's eyes wavered, staring at the far wall as the flames around them began to die out. Black and red smoke rose from the blade, dancing around the Demon Lord's body and dissipating into the air above.
Goodbye, old man.
Sam gripped his sword with both hands and yanked the sword out from his father's body, making the Demon Lord arch back before falling forward. Smoke continued to rise and engulf the Demon Lord's body as if it was beginning to cremate itself after death. As the Demon Lord let out his last breath, silence at last engulfed the room, only interrupted by the sound of Sam's labored breathing. It was over. It was finally over. I could feel tears well up in my eyes as the situation sank into my body, causing me to place my hands on the floor and stare into the dark marble. We did it. We really did it.